Danny, we have meetings with players all the time. It's getting caught up and have reviews, and so anyway, it wasn't any specific meeting, but I think Danny's a good veteran player. He knows the importance that he has for this hockey club, and he carries a big workload, and a lot of it goes to him in situations that are critical minutes and special teams, obviously. So I think when you look at his early part of the year, he probably wasn't real pleased with how he had been playing, and he made a decision that you got to get going, and he has been skating much better. I see a lot more energy and jump in his skate, and that's exactly the kind of player that we need.
Kind of just to expand on the veteran presence, when the lockout ended, as expected, guys came up from Trenton, but since then there's also been an influx of veterans, league veterans, if not specifically this team veterans. How is that kind of, we talked a little bit about what a veteran can do in the dressing room, but just kind of changed the kind of team dynamic, if you will?
Well, when you break our team down, quite frankly, we don't have a lot of veterans.
Right.
Before we added Laliberti and Sim, we're not a young hockey club, but we don't have a lot of pro experience. So adding a couple guys at this time, I think, is a really good thing. Both are looked to do some scoring for us. They have a good resume on that part of it, but also they're players who have pro games under their belt and have been through a lot as players. They've won championships. And so it's nice to have that player in the locker room to add a little responsibility to them and talk to the young guys, and here's how you do it, and set the tone in the practice about, as to the drills and maybe a few little tricks of the trade that they can offer to some of the younger players. So veterans are good, and they have to be good people, though, and they have to be willing to share their information and lead the right way.
The power play, we talked about this a little bit after the game on Friday night, but it's just been so productive. I mean, the Wilkes-Barre game excluded. You guys,
why? Why do you exclude it?
Well, I'm saying goal-wise.
Because that could have been the difference in the game. Start of the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Nobles hit the post. Syvret had one too, I think. Right. Mm-hmm. So, and that's a very defining moment early on in that game, it seems.
Mm-hmm. It was. It's not necessarily the critical time in the game because it happened so early, but it would have been nice to be able to, come out of that one with a one goal. Power play has been good. Simply stated, we're shooting puck and we have traffic at the net. There's nothing that has to be, real cute about it, I guess, where you're trying to pass the puck in the net. And I talk to the players about that all of the time. And sometimes we get away from being shooters and net presence, but when it's there, we scored a couple of goals against Norfolk simply because of traffic.
You might have thought, looking at the players who left, after the lockout ended or since then with McGinn, that's 3 out of 4 of your first power play forwards right there. And were you at all concerned about kind of like losing just the sheer proportion of your power play there? And is it nice to see that there hasn't been a drop-off?
I don't worry about those things. I've been around too long to let that stuff bother me. I still sleep pretty good at night. To me, I look at it the other way. You lose players and other players get great opportunities. And now, there's guys that are on the power play that haven't been all year long, and they're excited about it, lots of emotion and energy, and they're trying to follow the game plan on a consistent basis. So I think that's what we're all about. We're trying to develop players, and you put them into uncomfortable situations and hope that they can grow into it and feel good and have some good results.
You have Mangine in there in the middle on the power play, and he gets the tip in. That's kind of an example there of getting those results.
It is, and that's a really good play. That's a shot pass to his stick. He's got it in the right place. He's looking for it, anticipating it, and that's a great place to score goals from. With that heads-up play by Gus, I mean, that's as good as it gets.
For a guy like Mangine, who maybe might not be your typical first selection to go into the middle on a power play, but you wanted to give him that shot there.
You got to give him a shot. That's his first goal. I want to find out what it is that he's capable of doing. Again, you push players along, and now that the lockout has ended, you lose some key guys, and you have an opportunity now to experiment a little bit. See where they can grow, how fast they can get better at certain situations and parts of their game. And I think right now, in a player like Mangine in particular, he's confident with the puck, holding onto it, skating as well as he was prior to going to Trenton. and I like that. He's starting to grab the opportunity.
For the Saturday game, a 3-0 loss, but from where I was watching, it felt like Adirondack had to compete, and I felt like they had a good game, actually, even though it was a 3-0 loss. The final score doesn't really seem to feel like a good game.
Well, the second goal was a weird one. That ends up bouncing or up in the air, and everybody's kind of looking for it and couldn't find it. And it's lying off the weak side post for a tap in. I think we had been able to get out of that period. With a 1-0 deficit, we could have probably give a better push in the third period. The fact that we only had 3 shots in the third period was a concern, but that comes down to penalties again. I mean, we've given up 16 power plays in 2 games, and that's really not acceptable. Takes too many players out of the lineup, sitting on the bench. There's a real concern on my part of it that we would have those kinds of penalties, bringing the referees into the game to make those kinds of calls, the hooking, the slashing. You got to get rid of them, and I think if you do that, you're going to find that you have better third periods and able to make a comeback because you got players who are fresher. Right now, I'm using too few guys in big minutes in a third period when you have to put a big push on it. It's not there.
I was going to say it's a lot of stick penalties that are taken there too. Is that a matter of when guys get beat and that's when a lot of stick penalties come, or they're just not minding their stick and not holding it the right way? I mean, Bordson's got up there somehow on that high stick. I didn't really see how it happened.
I think it's both. I think there's a technique. I think there's a reload situation where the forwards are back pressuring the puck carrier and you start reaching in. You should just keep skating and pushing hard on that part of it. And then the slashing, there's no excuse for slashing penalties. I think, especially in the offensive zone, I think those got to be cut right out of the game on our side of it. And we're addressing it often, and it's a learned process, though.